What's good people, and welcome to the Silly Nerdy, Sometimes Wordy podcast. I'm your host, BK, and this is episode 7 of my Star Wars Fandom and highlights from Star Wars Celebration 2023 London. What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's doing well out there. This is an exciting episode that I'm excited about. And we're going to go over how I came to like Star Wars and also some things that have been officially announced coming out of Star Wars Celebration that is currently going on right now, Friday, April 7th to Monday, April 10th, 2023. So some TV/movie news, casting that has come out of there. Just going to go over that. And so we're going to talk about that. Before I get started, big shout out to all the listeners out there. I really appreciate you still listening. I also want to give a shout out to two of my friends. One has received a new member of the family has entered. So big shout out to that friend, as well as another friend that had a pinning ceremony for PA school, physician's assistant. So big shout out to her, to the two of them. Big things happen in their lives. So I just want to give them some love. Okay, episode 7. I wanted to talk about Star Wars because Star Wars Celebration is happening. Although I wasn't sure if I was going to do an episode like this when I was planning this podcast. This is something I wanted to talk about, but I wasn't sure if I was going to, because I'm a fan of Star Wars, but I don't know the lore as much detail as others do, in terms of knowing every planet or every creature, every ship or everything. But I know a little bit more than the average, the casual person, I would say, I think. But this is just coming from my perspective. And my introduction to Star Wars. So obviously I'm a little bit on the somewhat younger side. My introduction to Star Wars was the 3 prequels. Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, that came out in 1999. Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, came out in 2002. And then Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, that came out in 2005. So those 3 films were my introduction to Star Wars. I went to the theater to watch all 3 of those films. So that's how I started watching Star Wars. And when I saw those, I was really excited, and it's just, the trailers obviously got me. And then once I got into the theater, it was, that was it. So then I started to get into that. And then, of course, time went on. And also, I know there was a lot of books out there, and I didn't really get into the publishing side, the book side of Star Wars until much later on, until I got into audiobooks much later. And so I've been listening to the High Republic mostly, and some other things, some of the Thrawn books. But so fast forward later, the animated stuff started coming out, specifically from Dave Filoni. The Star Wars Clone Wars movie came out first, and then the Clone Wars animated TV show came out. Of course, I didn't see the Clone Wars movie when it initially came out. I actually started watching Clone Wars, and if I remember, I don't think I started watching until like season 2. And then once I started watching, I kept watching. At some point, I went back and watched the Clone Wars movie. And obviously when Disney Plus came around in 2019, I did watch the final season, obviously, which was great. Once I started watching that, I got started consuming a lot of Star Wars content. And then we fast forward to the year of 2011, and so that is when Lucasfilm Star Wars, they released this 6-disc special edition Blu-ray disc for all 6 movies. At that time, it was for the first time all 6, the prequel ones that came out in the late 90s, early 2000s, as well as the 3 originals from 1977 and the early 80s. And so it was together for the first time ever. So obviously, I bought those. I bought that set, and yeah, I think I got it in like Black Friday around in that time frame, and it came with a lot of special features, which I did watch, and I watched, and that was my first time watching the first 3 original films, watching A New Hope, watching Empire Strikes Back, watching Return of the Jedi. So that was my first time seeing those 3 films. And once I saw that, then I went and back to rewatch the 3 prequels, episode 1, 2, and 3, after watching 4, 5, and 6, and seeing all of them together. And I was like, oh, then I really started to get into it. Then I was really, really hooked. And so I feel like from that point on, as I really, really got into Star Wars and, any type of Star Wars news. So that's how I started to get into it. And like I said, I didn't really get into the books until much, much, much later on, until audiobooks came around. And then another show is Star Wars Rebels. That came on as well. And at the time when it aired, it was on Disney XD. And I didn't see it, but I saw trailers of it. I heard it was talked about. At the time, I didn't have Disney XD, so I couldn't watch it weekly when it came out. So what I had to do was wait until the episodes aired, the whole season aired actually, and it ended up being 4 seasons. And then it came on to Blu-ray / or DVD, and then I would buy that and then watch it all on the Blu-ray disc. And so that is how I was able to watch Star Wars Rebels. Of course, there's some things that were spoiled for me, but I didn't care. I still watched it anyway. So that's how I was able to watch all 4 seasons of Star Wars Rebels. This is pre Disney Plus. Obviously, everything is on Disney Plus now, but with the time it came out, there was no streaming. So for Star Wars stuff, so I had to wait and for each season and buy the disc and then watch it in my Blu-ray disc DVD player. And though that show in particular really enjoyed, particularly really all of the Star Wars animation. They have great storytelling and explores different parts of the galaxies and all the different time periods. But it's just great storytelling with those characters. And obviously, as I'll talk about later, we will see some of these characters in live action from Star Wars Rebels, and some we've already seen in live action in The Mandalorian, for those of you who know who I'm talking about. So I really enjoyed Star Wars Rebels, and I'm actually thinking about rewatching season 4 before Ahsoka comes out later this year in August. So yeah, since Rebels, I pretty much consume a lot of Star Wars content. So now we fast forward. At this point, we're just moving forward. I've seen every Star Wars film. That is all 9 of the Skywalker saga, including the standalone films with Solo and Rogue One. So I've seen all the films and all of them multiple times. The only one that I haven't seen more than twice is the Solo movie. I've only seen that in the theater and then once. And so all of them, it's always good to watch them, rewatch them. So yeah, I love those movies, and so yeah, that's kind of my Star Wars story, as well as I've tried I've tried a few of the video games, but I'm not really good at them, those particular games. But I will say the stories from those games are always good. In terms of the story of the game, the Star Wars story are still good in those games. And one of the more recent games, the Star Wars Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor, which that one is coming out very soon. There's been kind of rumors or chatter that one of the characters and his droid, Cal Kestis, it's possible that, and I think the actor himself wants to, and it's possible that he may come into live action, whether it be in a TV series or a film or possibly animated. But there is a want, and the fans do want to see that character kind of brought to life, whether it's in live action or in animation. So I guess it's possible, or maybe it's been talked about, or people do want to see it, including myself. So that would be pretty cool if we could see something from the video game and the story around him, or that at least involves him. So yeah, I've tried my hand at the video games. Not very good at it, but I appreciate the stories. Just watching the story modes, the story of the games is pretty good in itself without even playing the game. You see a lot of people, you just cut those things together, and just watching that, it's pretty good. And one last thing I'll say about my my Star Wars fandom is the movie trailers, as well as now the show streaming service. Those trailers, like, you can say what you want about maybe the movie is not good, or maybe the show is not good, but the trailers themselves, they're always good. They're always great. They get you hyped. Whether the show, like I said, whether the show does good or not doesn't matter, but the trailers themselves are always great. And even for me, like, sometimes I just go back and just watch some of the trailers sometimes, and just watching them, back to back, and just, yeah, they're always great to watch. So I always enjoy those. Okay, so now we are moving on to Star Wars Celebration 2023. This year it's in London. And for those Star Wars fans, you know what Star Wars Celebration is. It is a convention that brings together Star Wars fans from all across the globe, as well as the actors, directors, creators, people in front and behind the camera. This is where the Star Wars and Lucasfilm brings announcements, brings trailers, footage exclusive to the people that are there in attendance, and sometimes they release that footage, those trailers to the public. Thankfully, they did release one, which I will get into later. So this is something where you can just come and enjoy. People do a lot of cosplay. Cosplay is just basically coming dressed as your favorite character from a film or TV show, whether it be animated or anime. Like, for instance, people will come dressed as Luke Skywalker, dressed as Leia, dressed as the Mandalorian, dressed as Boba Fett. Just different characters or different creatures as well, both young and old. So it's a fun time. I've never been to one. I'm hoping one year in my lifetime I'll get to go to a Star Wars celebration. But that's what's currently going on right now from Friday, April 7th to Monday, April 10th. And so I wanted to talk about a couple announcements and things that have come out of there that I'm excited for to eventually watch. Um, so first, I'll talk about the movies, and this is in no particular order. The titles of the movies have not been announced yet. The release dates haven't been announced yet, but it has been rumored or talked about or believed to be that the first new movie will be out in 2025. Of course, it's been a while since we've had a Star Wars movie. The last Star Wars theatrical release was 2019, Rise of Skywalker. That was the last Star Wars movie we've had. So it's been a while, and they've been planning and taking their time, kind of creating a plan, which I appreciate, and just hope that these directors stick, which I feel like they will. I know for sure at least one of them will. Now, the first movie I'll talk about, like I said, in no particular order, the first one I'm going to mention is going to be centered around the time period of the dawn of the Jedi. And that's going to be basically the beginning of the Jedi Order and how it came to be, how it was started in terms of the religion, and I'm pretty sure there'll be some, Sith in there involved, possibly, but just how that came to be. It's going to be a new time period that's going to be explored, that's never been explored before, on film at least. So I'm excited to see that when it comes out. The director that's been announced and attached to this project is James Mangold, and some of the things he's worked on. One of the things that that people will be seeing soon, he has directed the upcoming Indiana Jones 5 movie that is set to be released later this year on June 30th. He's also directed Logan, that came out in 2017. He's also directed 3:10 to Yuma, also in 2017, Ford v Ferrari in 2019, and Walk the Line in 2005. He directed that as well. So we'll see how that goes. And of course, there's no actors or actresses that have been announced or cast or anything, but we'll see how that goes. Another film that was announced, there was an actress that was announced as well, and this film is going to be centered around the rebuilding of the Jedi Order, and it's going to be set 15 years in the future after the events of the Rise of Skywalker Episode 9. And they did announce, and they did have Daisy Ridley come out on stage. She will be involved, and she will be the one rebuilding the Jedi Order after her last appearance in the Star Wars movie 2019. So it will be centered around that storyline, that time period after the events of the Battle of Exegol. So that's going to be interesting to see what it's going to be like in the future after the last movie. Again, no release date, no title, but that's what the time frame is going to be centered around. The last movie I'll mention, because they talked about 3, and this one is going to be centered around the New Republic. I guess you say it's Mandalorian themed, and this is going to be kind of bringing a close to all the current interconnected shows, and those shows include The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, which is coming out later this year in August, Skeleton Crew, The Book of Boba Fett, and I think, So it's going to be centered around those. It's going to be like an in-game style movie, and like you say, Thrawn possibly will be this version's Thanos. And the director attached that's announced is going to be Dave Filoni. And I'm really excited. I know a lot of people are really excited that he's going to be directing it. This will be his first film that he'll be directing. Of course, he's directed and he's the creator of a lot of the Star Wars animation. Specifically, he's the creator of Ahsoka. But he did direct a couple episodes in The Mandalorian. He's heavily involved in writing and executive producing The Mandalorian and other shows. But he has directed 2 episodes of The Mandalorian, season 1, episode 1 and 5, as well as season 2, episode 5, The Jedi. That was the Ahsoka episode when she first showed up. Like I said, he's done a lot of the animation, and he has apparently written every episode of Ahsoka, and obviously he'll be directing some episodes of Ahsoka, but he'll be the one directing this movie, and it just makes sense because all these shows that I mentioned he's involved in, so he'll be doing this movie later on, maybe in 2027. That's when it comes out. So I'm really excited about that film once it's ready to come out. So those are the films they talked about. So I'm glad we're getting some Star Wars movies soon here in the next couple years. The next thing I want to talk about are going to be the streaming shows, the TV shows that'll be coming on Disney Plus. First thing I want to talk about is Skeleton Crew. Not going to say too much about it because I'm not really excited about it, at least not yet, because I don't know. I know a little bit about it. Obviously, they said it's going to be Stranger Things in space, but I'm not a Stranger Things fan. I've never watched it. Unfortunately, I watch a lot of stuff on Netflix. That's just not one of them. It does star Jude Law, and it has a bunch of kids in it. But just because there are kids in it doesn't mean it's going to be a kid-friendly show. They have announced directors at Star Wars Celebration. They showed some footage at Star Wars Celebration exclusive to the people in attendance. They didn't release it to the public. But that's all about that show. I'm sure they'll show a trailer later this year. It's supposedly supposed to be out later this year or maybe early next year. The next show, Acolyte, that's going to be out next year. They did change the title card, so the logo looks a little different. The colors changed. This is a show that I'm excited about, and this is something that the time period that it takes place is 100 years before episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And so it's 100 years before that, 100 years before the whole, way before the Skywalker saga, before Luke and all of that happened. So that's going to be interesting, and it's going to be from the point of view of the dark side of the Sith. So it's going to have a lot of Jedi in it, but the story is going to be told from the perspective of the Sith, of the dark side, of the dark side users, so of the bad guys. So I'm interested to see how that's going to go and how dark in the tone they can go, and I'm really excited to see that perspective. And one of the lead actress on that show is going to be, that was announced a while ago, is Amandla Stenberg. And you may have remember her if you've seen the first Hunger Games movies. She played the character of Rue, which, spoiler alert, she unfortunately died, before the end of the movie, helping Jennifer Lawrence's character out in the open field, or in the woods, I should say. But she was that character that played the young Rue in the Hunger Games. So she's going to be the lead actress of this show, The Acolyte. She's done some other things. I should have looked that up and got you some other credits for her, but I'm pretty sure a lot of you remember seeing Hunger Games and remember that character particularly. So yeah, that show, The Acolyte, should be out hopefully next year, 2024. They showed some footage exclusive to the people there at Star Wars Celebration. They didn't release it to the public because it's kind of too far out anyway. So next, I'm going to talk about Andor Season 2, and I'm also going to reference a term, which is a showrunner. A showrunner is a person that oversees all the writing and production of each episode of the show, of the series. He has managerial creative control over the show. And I mentioned that term because they brought a lot of people from the show Andor Season 2, including Tony Gilroy, who is the showrunner. He's directed a couple episodes of Season 1. I don't believe he'll be directing any episodes of Season 2. To be focused more so on the writing and driving the story forward. They had other actors out there like Genevieve O'Reilly, Diego Luna, and other actors as well. I believe they announced the directors. I think for the episodes there, they said they have a couple episodes already filmed. They hope to finish filming by August of this year of 2023, and then post-production and everything, they hope to have it ready to release and be on air on Disney Plus in August 2024, barring any potential setbacks. So that's a show that was really good. I really loved it. Obviously it didn't have any lightsabers or anything, but it goes on more so the political thriller spy side. It is the events. You could say it is a prequel to the Rogue One movie. So everything that happened up to that. So this show here, the series finale, is the Rogue One movie. So once this show Season 2 comes out, I'll be excited to rewatch Season 1 of Andor, then Season 2, then watch Rogue One, all in that order. So that'll be great to kind of have and just kind of watch in that order. So I'm very excited about that. They did show kind of a sizzle trailer or a trailer, some footage of Andor Season 2 exclusive to the people in attendance at Celebration. They did not release it to the public. So that's another show I'm excited about that had a presence at Star Wars Celebration. Another show that was at Star Wars Celebration, heavy presence at Star Wars Celebration, was Star Wars Ahsoka. And that's going to be the next show that comes out on Disney Plus once Mandalorian finishes here. That'll be coming out in August. They released a trailer to the show, and they released it to the public. And I have to say, I've watched it at least 10 times, probably more. I'm super duper excited about this show. It's kind of it is the continuation of the Star Wars Rebels show, as well as, it probably picks up onto another story as well. And also I have to say, all these shows that I mentioned, they all had panels there, so with the actors and creators to discuss the show. So they all had panels for each of these shows, including Ahsoka. So obviously they had Rosario Dawson there, Filoni and Favreau were there, Natasha Dorby. The actress that plays Sabine, she was there. I don't want to mispronounce her name. There was also some more casting announcements. In the trailer, they showed Hera on screen for the first time in live action, and Chopper, the droid, so that was exciting. The actress was there as well, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. They eventually announced Thrawn, the casting of Thrawn, which was no surprise, but they finally officially announced him, so that's exciting, and he was in the trailer, so seeing that, the back of him. They also released an extended trailer for Star Wars Ahsoka, but that was only exclusive to the people that were in attendance at Star Wars Celebration. So I'm sure we'll get to see that eventually later on as it gets closer to August. But I'm really, really excited about this show, and the trailer looks great, and it shows some scenes and locations from the animated show. So yeah, I can't wait to watch this. I think I said it earlier, but I think I may rewatch season 4 of Rebels before watching Star Wars Ahsoka as it gets closer to that August release. And what else? So Monday will be the last day of Star Wars Celebration, and they're going to focus on the animation side of Star Wars. I know there will be a Bad Batch panel there discussing season 2. I'm pretty sure that's when they will announce a season 3 of the Bad Batch, particularly how the way season 2 ended. I'm sure they'll have a lot of the voice actors and actresses there, as well as obviously Filoni will be there, so they'll be talking about that. They will also be talking about Star Wars Vision Season 2, Volume 2, and also Tales of the Jedi Season 2 was recently announced, so I'm excited about that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. There is a lot of other things going on at Star Wars Celebration, many other things that are not, movie news related, but they had, different panels involved. One panel they had was a 40-year anniversary, because it's been 40 years since the Return of the Jedi film was in theater. So they had a panel kind of looking back on that. And they also announced at Star Wars Celebration that, because for them to, in celebrating 40 years of the Return of the Jedi film, they are putting it back in theaters, most likely for a limited time, starting April 28th, 2023. So for those of you that love Return of the Jedi, it will be back in theaters April 28th. And I'm thinking I may try to go see it, because I didn't see it in theaters when it came out. So to see that on the big screen, that would be pretty cool. So yeah, it'll be in theaters starting April 28th for a limited time. So check that out. And I think that's gonna be all. So now I'm going to get to my takeaway. My takeaway from this is this was an excuse for me to talk about Star Wars out loud. I just wanted to talk about why I like it so much and how I'm excited for things coming out. And I don't know everything or every planet, creature, everything, but like I said, I know a little bit more. And this was just my excuse to talk about it. I love Star Wars. I love watching it. I love hearing news about it, new things coming. I love the animation stuff and the live action stuff. I've even seen, I know one of the shows that were not too loved, Star Wars Resistance. I did watch that as well, so I thought that was okay. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about my excitement for Star Wars. I think it's pretty great. I'm just starting to listen to 2 new books on the High Republic on my audiobook. So The Cataclysm and the other one I can't think of right now, so I'll be listening to that on my Audible. But that's all for this week. Please check me out wherever you get your podcasts. Please leave a review, leave a like, follow, subscribe. Share this with your friends and family, coworkers, church members. So this is going to be all for today. And then next week, I'm going to be working on just a small new segment that I would like to incorporate onto the show at the top of the show. So I hope you guys like it. I'll be working on it for next week's episode, which will be episode 8. I can't believe it. But so we're moving along here. And happy Star Wars celebration. And that's it. All right. Until next time, we'll talk soon.